I want to go back to something that I dropped somewhere in the last year or so, that Heinz ketchup commercial that was brilliantly done because they didn't have to pay anybody anything. They just had a close-up of the bottle with the content slowly drifting down towards the mouth, and over that they played Carly Simon singing, "Anticipation, it's making me wait." I found myself thinking about that this week, beyond the fact that I'm working on tonight and Monday night and Tuesday and next Shabbat for Shabbat Shuvah and Yom Kippur after that. And so many ideas swirling around in my head. But the one that matters most is the idea that anticipation. I will assure you that our synagogue office staff has been busily involved for a couple of months now with all the nuts and bolts of the high holiday season. Our board of directors, our leaders and officers have been working together on a variety of projects and handing it off to the staff to perform and acquit and fit. We've been getting ready. It's anticipation. But we Jews are good at counting down. Think about it. Last spring, we had the spring Sefira, 50 days from Pesach to Shavuot, counting the Omer every single day. Today is the 8th day of the Omer, which is 1 week and 1 day, and really moving forward, counting the steps through the wilderness, counting the days. That was the spring Sefira. And then in the summer, we had the summer Sefira, 3 weeks from the 17th of Tammuz, commemorating the day that the Babylonians first broke through the walls of Jerusalem 2,500 years ago, until the 9th of Av, when we commemorate that disaster and every subsequent trauma in Jewish history. The spring Sefira, 50 days, the summer Sefira, 3 weeks, but this New Year countdown, anticipation, is the biggest of them all. Forget Dick Clark counting down to 10 on New Year's Eve as the ball drops. All 29 days of this current month of Elul, right through to next Monday, shortly before dusk. All 29 days of this current month were a lead-in to Rosh Hashanah. And after that, Yom Kippur. And after that, Sukkot, Hoshana Rabbah, Shmini Atzeret, and finally Simchat Torah. Forget the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah as opposed to 1, or the 8 days of Passover. Carol always asks, so we're going out to pizza tonight, right? I said, nope, that's tomorrow, 8 days. Forget the 2 days, the 8 days. Our Jewish New Year season, and I mention this every year because I think it's so awesome, starting from the beginning of this current month of Elul and counting forward, our Jewish New Year season is 52 days. Think about that. How many weeks in a year? Our Jewish New Year season counts 1/7 of the year is spent counting down in, say it with me, anticipation. And here we are now, going into what is, in spite of Slichot having been last Saturday night instead of tomorrow night, tonight, which is nonetheless, say it with me again, the last Shabbat of the year. Now, I'm going to tell a couple of good things happened for Carol and me this year. My niece and nephew ended up finding, I was talking to Esther before we started about the Frum community. My niece and nephew found 2 worthy partners for 2 of their 7 kids. So we were off twice this summer for weddings. Spring Valley in June, and their own home community of Lakewood, New Jersey, in August. Now, the bad news is, because you walk in the door, not just the wedding ceremony, but the social reception before and the dinner reception after, segregated. So I didn't get to see Carol all evening. So the bad news is, this is the first wedding reception we've been to in our married life, 51 years, that we didn't get to dance. But the good news is, for those of us who keep kosher and have to look carefully at the menu, we could eat anything there with a clear conscience. But otherwise, this year, Anno Mundi 5785 did not have a lot to recommend it. We've seen the ongoing disturbing erosion of our democratic republic, ever-growing divisiveness in what was already a mean-spirited society where people were unable to speak civilly to each other. We've seen dividends paid, big time, for Jew haters in the ongoing 80-year campaign of moral attrition against the war of the state of Israel. And in the middle of all this, the cost of groceries keeps going up. So it'd be nice to get a fresh start and move forward. The Israeli proverb is Shinui Makom, Shinui Mazal. This is the proverb of the motto of people going to casinos, working the same one-arm bandit for a while, move down a bench and say, that one looks like it's ready to pay. Shinui Makom, Shinui Mazal. Change your place, change your luck. Well, in which case, let's consider maybe, just perhaps, this fresh year starting next week after this last Shabbat of the year. Perhaps this fresh year represents a fresh start. That's something to look forward to, dare I say, with anticipation. But on the spiritual level, as your rabbi, I have to ask the non-rhetorical question for each of us is, have I been making the most of the Elul, of this anticipatory countdown season? I mean, beyond last Saturday night's dessert study program and prayer vigil that we did. Have we been making the most of the anticipation? Because the anticipation of Shana Tova, Shana Matuka, a good year, a sweet year, a blessed year, is predicated on the expectation that each of us is and all of us are doing the work to make the coming year different than the one now coming to an end. That is why this month of Elul is a season of introspection, of cheshbon hanefesh, an inventory of our own souls. If we're doing this right, we don't need the confessionals coming up on Yom Kippur, because in the course of our own internal audit, we've already spotted the sin which we have sinned against you during the year now ending and resolved not to do it again. If we're doing this right, we've already made our course correction, doing our own personal bit to make next year different than the one now ending. If we're doing this right, we don't take tomorrow for granted, but implement our resolve of a better tomorrow and day after, and doing that today, long before the new year arrives, so as to anticipate already enjoying happiness and blessing even during these last few days of the current year now ending. If we're doing this right, we take the fullness and ripeness of the apple of our life and intensify it with the honey-like sweetness of our worthy resolves to carry forth a worthy recollection of all that was in fact good and blessed during the year now ending. What makes that easier to achieve is that we are heirs to a legacy of sacred service to our covenant partner on high. The Hasidic rabbi, Levi Yitzhak Berdichev, said in front of his whole congregation, he had this bad habit of talking out loud to God, and everyone eavesdropped. Tell me, O Lord, what can you possibly have against your people Israel? For in your Torah, you instruct Moses, speak. To whom? To the people of Israel. You tell Moses, say to whom? The people of Israel. Command and instruct whom? The people of Israel. Have you no other people to speak to and address and command, and to whom to direct your Torah? It must therefore follow that you love the people of Israel, and as such will grant mercy upon us, and even in time of dire trouble, fulfill our great need. From the viewpoint of Levi Yitzhak Berdichev, our being Beit Yisrael, the house of Israel, means in casino-esque terms that you and I are working for the house. So the deck is stacked in our favor. But the corollary of that metaphor is that each of us has to stick it out at the table with the hand we've been dealt and keep playing to win. Our Torah portion tells us, Atem nitzavim, you are poised this day to enter into the covenant with God, ready to face an uncertain future in the promised land. On this last Shabbat of the year, we too are poised to face the corollary uncertainties of a new calendar year. May we make of it a new opportunity we resolve to act on and a fresh start for an ever better reality. Because of the commitment we carry away from Torah on this last Shabbat of the year, may the new year turn out to be one truly worthy of anticipation. Shabbat Shalom.